The Fontana race, you had I got 3 out of 4 junior motorsports cars put you in the wall.
An Xfinity race,
Yes.
yeah. That was a fun time. See some old faces in there that I know.
That's a good point. You're back in the shop that you used to, race in, and you're seeing people through the window, and you're waving at them. But that's cool.
Yeah, did you give some team orders
know,
or something?
right?
Like,
Dude, I've
hey,
never-
that 24 car looks too good. We got to rip the side of it off.
This is why being an owner. This is the sucky part of being an owner. All
Yeah, right? Because you have drivers and cars, and they run into friends, and I mean,
there's things that happen on the racetrack, and you're like, oh my god, you want your guys to go out there and race as hard as they can, but then there's things that happen, and you're like, man, now I got to go talk to this guy or call this guy or talk to an owner, but that was almost laughable. Like
it was crazy.
I mean,
me and Justin were this close to just rounding it all off.
Right.
Like I wouldn't have won one time just diving off in there, and he's really, really good at battling for every inch of position, whether it's side drafts down the straightaways or holding you up and really making you uncomfortable, before you turn off into the corner when you're on the outside of him. He's really good at that stuff. And I remember diving off into one, and he knew what I was going to do, and I sent it off in there, and he jumped right down on my door, and I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't good. Like I thought we was going to get loose and take us both out. We held on, but yeah.
If that would have happened, that would have been the junior motorsports parlay.
Yeah,
you would have everybody would have gotten a piece of it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I got to talk to all 3 of them after the race: Sam, Brandon, and Josh, and it all worked. I mean, we got to talk about it and got an understanding for what happened.
Yeah,
surely the deal with Josh was really frustrating, but
it was like that was a hard one.
Yeah. I got to talk to him about it, and I mean. At a place like Fontana, it's easy to make that mistake and think you got the corner finished, and when you're side by side with somebody, lose the nose last minute. I almost hate it for Brandon because I got to talk to him and Tyler and Jason about that, and Tyler's like, I'm sorry, I just screwed that up, and it took Brandon out of it. With Sam, it was more just like, hey man, like keep the nose on this car. Like you finished second with that car that was damaged. If you could have kept the car clean, maybe you had a shot at winning that race. 100%. So. Yeah.
Have we run into you before?
I don't think so.
I mean, listen,
I've ran a lot of stuff in your guys' cars a couple years ago. But
no, but you also won a championship, so anything would have been forgiven, right, at that point. But but then you went to RCR and you continued rate. I mean, we were racing against you big time then. So I would think that we would have had a couple of little issues at some point, but I guess not.
No,
You're so easygoing. I mean, it's hard to piss you off. I was just wondering if we pissed you off at all.
I think the only time I got a little pissed off was just, by the time the race was over on Sunday night at Fontana. That was just not a good day for me in general.
Yeah.
Just how the Cup race went, not getting to qualify, starting pretty much last. And then just how that the whole day wasn't a fun day, but that's like the only time I think.
So you're a father, a new father.
Yeah.
How big is the family now?
Just one kid.
Any plans?
Bo. I think Alexa definitely wants to have more kids, and I'm just trying to balance all that.
So
And
how old's Bo?
He just turned 3 January 18th.
So what has fatherhood taught you? What is, you've changed a bunch. Just from the time that we started working with you to now, just as a driver and a person and a man, I've seen this massive growth. And what does being a dad mean to you?
I mean, when you become a father, everything changes completely. It's weird. You prepare for it, you hear about it. You try and get ready for it, and then it happens, and then just all these things change that, within yourself and around you that is really hard to describe. But the biggest thing for me that I found through it all is, I found new sources of motivation to get better. I found myself, oddly enough, finding ways to work even harder than I was before, because I wasn't just working for it for myself. I want my family to have a good life. I need to now run good to support them and give him, everything hopefully that he will want and more when he gets older, or even now. Honestly, we're buying plenty of toys and all that stuff. So yeah, when things like that happen, I just found more motivation that I didn't really know was there to tap into.
Yeah. So, how have you changed? We're going to get to the Xfinity stuff here in a minute, but how have you changed as a driver from the person you were standing on pit road at Bristol in the dirt race? So, I feel like that maybe you're the same, maybe you're different, but Briscoe and you get together. Briscoe sent it into the corner, wasn't going to make the corner. Neither one of you get the win. You surprised a lot of people by how you reacted after that race, but I'm sure that you've changed or grown, and maybe you don't need to. Maybe that reaction was perfectly fine. But say that happens again this year. Where do you think you are in your growth cycle, I suppose, in terms of how you handle those type of situations? Because I'll be honest, man. I mean, I know it's my cars, but you were spicy at Fontana. The one hits you, and you're like down the back straightaway. You're like,
"Oh,
hey,
yeah.
you jerk!
Yeah,
You ran me in the freaking wall,
Yeah.
you idiot!" And then and I think you had the same sort of reaction to Josh. If you could have shown him some displeasure, you would have, right? And so.
Well, I don't know. I when I went back and watched the deal with Josh, like I come flying down the track and I'm like, oh man, did I lose my cool for a second? Was I thinking about it?
I was looking at
Was I thinking about it? I could have got both of them in one swing, right? But I didn't do it.
They had an in-car camera, and I was watching your eyes. I was like, man, I wonder if I can see his anger. Because you were, I didn't know if you were like going to bow up in the car. But I wonder, me and Mike were talking about this, about like me being angry at another driver, and we were having a hard time really finding examples of me just really being pissed. A guy cuts you off on the highway, you lose your shit.
I actually don't.
Really?
Yeah, I don't get mad on the highway at all.
Golly.
I used to when I was like really, really young. Like I would kind of show displeasure and get back at people, but like I don't know. Man. When I get cut off on the highway, like it's nothing against him. Like hopefully he finds this funny. I'm like, oh, that was Ross. He took the line away. Here we go. I'll just wait my turn and maybe I'll get back around this car a little bit later on.
Yeah.
I don't really get mad.
You haven't even had a Ross run in, have you?
I mean, honestly, no. Me and him
But
race really, really hard together, and like me and him are in a good place.
Every guy's natural reaction is to think the guy that cut him off on the highway is Ross. That's what I took away from that.
That's it. Yeah.
I don't even really. I honestly don't mean that in a negative way.
I know.
I don't. He is. Like I was going back, get ready for Vegas last week, and it was just so impressive. Eventually, Joey got alongside him in that fall race last year, but so impressive how he just left Joey no options right up in for number of laps on old tires. So I mean, honestly, I said I have a compliment. Like him and Brandon work really, really good together on the roof and in the car.
Yeah, as a broadcaster, I love it. But yeah, he's
right.
good for entertainment. But anyways, back to my question. Like, so
Oh yes.
Have you evaluated some of those moments, and would you handle it differently today?
I think, well, hindsight's always 20/20, and I think throughout that whole situation, I found that, after the playoff run, it kind of took in its course. Like those 5 points I would have survived Bristol, all the chaos we had there. We would have won at Texas and then been into the final round of the whole deal. Obviously, we needed more speed there, but when you look at all that, definitely I think it shifts how you may respond to something like that if it happens again. You know what I mean? Like, okay, if this happens again in a similar way, where are those 5 points that I missed out on going to cost me down the road? Hopefully they don't, but definitely my mind at the moment when that happened, I wasn't thinking, we'll win more races and we won't need those 5 points. I know we needed those 5 playoff points, but certainly after going through that whole situation or miss out on the first round and all that sort of stuff, it'll definitely change how I approach that situation going forward.
Damn.
I'm not saying I'm going to go out there and lose my mind on someone, but
that's interesting though that you
probably not going to be as accepting of the outcome.
Yeah.
But I still in that moment felt like, yes, he ran me down. Like I could have done more. I could have done something different, better to keep the gap, and I didn't. He caught me, and it was the last corner into turn 3, and I'd attempted the save move that he had attempted a few times on other cars. I was able to make it work because they didn't defend it. I tried to defend it. If I wouldn't have defended the dang slider, he probably would have just spun out and would have kept going. So I look at it in a very different sense than some.
You should be commended to look at it that way because everybody else we put ourselves in your shoes, we would have been livid.
I wonder too if us like strictly pavement guys don't have quite the understanding that he and Chase have of what went down in that moment. Right, is with y'all's dirt history and experience.
I think
y'all look at it differently.
I think so, but I do think I remember talking to Kyle about it, and he was like, "Dude, he just took you out." And I'm like, "Well, he's more dirt guy than any of us, and he still feels that way."
Larson
but
said that.
I think he did. Don't quote me on that, but I do feel like he was like, didn't understand that. But I don't know. I feel like I was in control of what happened. I let him get there.
Yeah. Hey, if you like that video, you'll love the entire podcast. The Dale Jr. Download. It's available on all major podcast platforms.